everyone, this is Sara and welcome to my crochet channel. Today's video I'm going to show you how to make this fun ear warmer. It's called the Bobblehead ear warmer because it's got all these bobble stitches. It's a super easy pattern, so don't panic about the bobble stitches. And it's also totally adjustable for any size head, whether big or small. Now this is a free crochet pattern on my blog, and you can find that blog link down in the notes underneath the video. What you're going to need to make a bobblehead ear warmer is some yarn, and I have made 3 here. This one is a variegated with purple and green. It's the one I had on earlier. This one is bright variegated, and this one is a tweed. You can use any worsted weight number 4 yarn for this project. These are all Red Heart Super Savers, and for today's demonstration I'm going to be using this tweed from Red Heart. You can see it's a 4, and I really like using the acrylic Red Heart Super Saver for this project because they hold up well and the stitch makes a nice warm ear warmer. But you can use any worsted weight number 4 yarn for this project. You're going to need about 3 ounces. The crochet hook that we're going to use is an H 5.00 millimeter crochet hook. You're also going to need a needle just to weave in those ends, and of course a pair of scissors. Now the pattern, if you do the pattern as written, you're going to end up with a head warmer that measures 5 inches wide and 20 to 22 inches long. And I say 20 to 22 because it depends on how tightly you stitch, and remember, yarn is very stretchy. But if you want to add or subtract rows to make it smaller or bigger, you need to add or subtract 2 rows per inch. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started, and I'll help you remember how to adjust as we go. We're going to begin with a slip knot. We're going to chain 17 chains. There's 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. So here's my 17 chains. We're going to begin by stitching a double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook. 1, 2, 3, those first 3 chains count as our first double crochet. So we're going to stitch our double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook. Now, if you're not sure or can't remember what a double crochet is, yarn over, go in the stitch or chain and pull up a loop. You'll have those 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, go through the first 2 loops, yarn over and go through the second 2 loops. That's our double crochet. So we're going to stitch 1 double crochet in each chain across. Our first 3 chains counted as our first double crochet. We began double crocheting in the 4th chain from the hook, and then we stitched 1 double crochet in each stitch across. So counting those first 3 chains as our first double crochet, we should have 15 double crochets. We're going to chain 1 and turn. And on this row we're going to begin our bobbles. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to place a single crochet in the first 3 stitches. And a single crochet, you go in the first stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, and go through both. Now our chain 1 here did not count as a stitch, so we stitched our first single crochet in the first double crochet. We're going to stitch 2 more. So we have 3 single crochets. Now we're going to stitch our first bobble stitch, and I'm going to go slow so you can see how to make what I call the 3 triple stitch bobble stitch. We're going to wrap our yarn around our hook twice. We're going to go in the next stitch and pull up a loop. You'll have 4 loops on your hook. Yarn over, go through the first 2, yarn over and go through the second 2, but don't go through the last 1. And now we're going to repeat what we did. Yarn over twice. Remember not to do that too tightly. We're going to go in this same stitch that we stitched that first triple in. Pull up a loop. Now you have 5 loops on your hook. Yarn over, go through the first 2, yarn over and go through the second 2. You'll have 3 loops remaining on your hook, and then we're going to repeat that triple stitch again without finishing it. So 2 wraps, go in that same stitch and pull up a loop. You now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 loops on your hook. Yarn over, go through the first 2, yarn over and go through the second 2, and you'll see that we end up with 4 loops on our hook. And now we're going to finish our bobble, so we're going to yarn over and pull that loop through all 4 of those loops. That's our bobble stitch. Now we're going to stitch a single crochet in the next stitch, so push that bobble forward and stitch your single crochet in the next stitch. Here's the back and here's the front. There's our bobble. Alright, we're going to stitch 2 more single crochets, so there'll be 3 there together. So I'm going to do another bobble stitch so you can see what I'm doing. 2 wraps, go in the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2, yarn over and go through the second 2, leaving those 2 loops on our hook. 2 wraps, go in the same stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2, yarn over and go through the second 2, leaving the 3 loops on our hook. Yarn over twice, go in the same stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2, yarn over, go through the second 2, and then we'll yarn over and go through all 4 of those loops. Again, push that bobble to the front and we'll place 1 single crochet in the next 3 stitches. Alright, now we're going to do our last bobble. On this row, I should say. Whoops, got stringy. We'll try that one again. There we go. And now we'll just place 1 single crochet in each of those last 3 stitches. We're going to chain 3 and turn. We turned our work and we chained 3, and this chain 3 counts as our first double crochet on this row. So we're going to place 1 double crochet in each stitch across. So the chain 3 counted as our first one, so we'll put a double crochet in those next 2 single crochets. Now it can be a little tricky knowing where to put your double crochet on a bobble. So if you look at your bobble, on the back there is a stitch, and that's where you're going to put your double crochet, right through that stitch in the center. And we're just placing one double crochet in each stitch across. Make sure you count your stitches on this row, especially because, like I said, it can be a little confusing when stitching in the back of the bobble. So here's the back of the bobble again. I'm going to go right in the back with that stitch and stitch a double crochet. Going in the back of the last bobble, and then one double crochet in each of those last 3 stitches. All right, that's how it should look at this point. So now that we've finished this row of double crochet, we're going to chain 1 and turn, and we're going to make our second row of bobble stitches. Now this first row only had 3 bobbles. This next row is going to have 4 because it's offset. All right, so we're going to turn, and we're just going to place 1 single crochet in that first single crochet, or in the first double crochet. And then we're going to place a bobble stitch in the next double crochet. And we'll do this bobble stitch exactly like we did the other ones. All right, there's my bobble stitch. Push it forward, and then I'm going to stitch 1 single crochet in the next 3 double crochets. There's 2 and 3. Now I'm going to stitch a bobble stitch in the next. Push it forward, and then stitch 3 single crochets, 1 in each of the next 3 double crochets. All right, so there's 2 bobbles. Let's do another one. Oops, got a string there. There we go. All right, there's our third bobble. We'll stitch 1 single crochet in the next 3 stitches, and that's going to leave us 2 stitches at the end. And so we're going to stitch a bobble in that second to last double crochet, and then we'll stitch a single crochet in that last stitch. And of course that last stitch is our chain 3 from the previous row. All right, so we're going to chain 3 and turn. And this is how it should look. Double crochet row, we have single crochets in between with 3 bobbles. Then we have a double crochet row, and then 1 single crochet with our bobbles with 3 in between, and then 1 single crochet on the end. So we have 3, 4, and this is how this whole pattern will work. You'll repeat all 4 of these rows over and over and over again until it's as long as you want. Now, for adjusting purposes, to 2 rows equal approximately an inch. And I say approximately because remember, everybody stitches differently. I tend to be a looser crocheter. Some people are tighter, and so we keep that in mind with every pattern, that some adjustment may need to be made because everybody stitches differently. My suggestion with this is to keep your tape measure handy and measure as you go. If your head measures 20 inches, I suggest you make it 20 inches. Makes sense, right? And you can see that roughly, this is 4 rows, so it's roughly about 2 inches. So what you do to finish your headband is to continue to repeat these 4 rows over and over until it's the length that you need. So here's one that I did earlier. I repeated over and over those 4 rows so that all my bobbles are offset from each other, and I made it 20 inches long so that it will fit me. And now I want to finish it. So what I did is I ended on a double crochet row. It doesn't matter which of the bobble row is before it. Make it as long as you need it. And then we're going to take those 2 ends and put them together. Alrighty, line them up. Put your hook through. Grab that loop. Pull it through. Let me move my yarn out of the way here. Alright, there's the tail. We don't need it. Alright. Now we're ready to make single crochets across. Alright, so we'll go in the first stitch on this side and the first stitch on this side. And we'll just stitch a single crochet, working all the way across, stitching both sides together. Now, I do recommend that you do this a little bit loose, because if you make it too tight, it might not be very stretchy, and it might pull. So make your stitches loose, but not so loopy that they're going to get caught, of course. Oops. There we go. There we go. Get in there. They do that. Now, make sure that you line everything up, that you don't get one side longer than the other, and you may have to ease it a little. Because remember, when you're beginning that beginning chain, sometimes it can be a little bit tight. So make sure you ease that across, line everything up till you reach the end. Put one more stitch in there. Stitched across, then you just tie off and weave in your ends. And again, make sure you weave these in good, because if you're going to wear yours as often as I wear mine, you don't want the ends coming out. So what I do is I just thread it on there and I open it up like this, and I go to the back. And I just go through some of the stitches, going through some of the fibers of the yarn, going back and forth all different ways. And I do this until my yarn's pretty short, and then I just clip it. And then we need to do that on the other side, because this is our beginning tail. I don't know why that has a little knot in it. That is weird. Alright, so here's our beginning tail. We want to weave that one in too. So we'll do it the same way. I'll just turn it, go to the inside, and just start stitching some stitches back and forth. Until I'm confident it's going to hold. Clip your stitches. And now I'm ready to put this headband on and wear it on my walk with the dogs. So you can make these out of any colors: striping, variegated, tweed, solids. Make one for every one of your walking outfits, and you'll never get cold this winter. you'll have a nice, warm, and fun ear warmer to wear. This is our bobblehead ear warmer.